Okay, so I have been thinking about this, and my brain is just absolutely spinning right now because of everything that just happened with Jens. Sidwell and that audio message? Like, I literally cannot sleep because I am just replaying that scene in my head over and over again? You know the one. The scene in the dark office. I am typing this at like 3 in the morning, so forgive me if I am not making total sense, but I just need to get these thoughts out before I lose them. Here is what is bugging me, or rather what is completely fascinating to me right now. We all knew Ross Cullum was going to do something terrible to Marco Rios. The spoilers for the week of March 23rd basically spelled it out that Marco was going to meet a grisly end and that Alexis Davis was going to be the poor soul who finds his corpse in her office. Which, by the way, poor Alexis. Can she ever just have a normal week? But anyway, the point is... Wait, what was the point? Oh, right. The point is that we all expected Cullum to kill Marco, and we all expected Cullum to frame Sonny Corinthos. Because that is what Cullum does right. He is supposed to be this meticulous planner. He is the guy who thinks 5 steps ahead. He sets up the perfect frame job, leaves the perfect trail of breadcrumbs leading straight to Sonny, and sits back to watch the chaos unfold. But then the writers actually did something brilliant. I mean, I think it is brilliant. Or maybe it is just a lucky accident, I do not know. But they threw in this massive curveball that completely wrecks Cullum's perfect plan. The audio message. Marco Rios, in his final agonizing moments, somehow managed to record a voice message and send it to his father, Jens Sidwell. Wait, let me back up. First, I should mention how incredibly dark and atmospheric that scene was when Sidwell actually listens to the message. The lighting in that room was so moody, all shadows and despair. Sidwell is sitting there, and he gets this notification. And you can just see the exact moment his entire world shatters. He plays the audio and it is Marco. But it is not just Marco talking. It is Marco dying. You can hear the life fading out of him. It is a Thoi Thop voice, just barely hanging on, and he is exposing everything. He is laying it all out. Cullum is the one doing this, and Cullum is planning to pin the whole gruesome murder on Sonny. I mean, just think about the sheer willpower it must have taken for Marco to do that. Cullum is brutally murdering him, and we know it is brutal because Alexis is going to be absolutely horrified when she finds the body. And yet, Marco has the presence of mind to hit record, or maybe he had his phone hidden. Actually, no, Cullum is supposed to be meticulous. So, how did he miss the phone? That is the one thing that is kind of poking a hole in this for me. If Cullum is such a genius, why didn't he smash Marco's phone? Did Marco use a smartwatch? I think it was episode 12 or 13, somewhere around there, where they established Marco had that new tech. Probably doesn't matter, but I noticed he was always fiddling with his devices. Maybe he triggered a voice memo blindly with his hand in his pocket. It is weird. Like, really weird. The whole thing is just weird, but I'm willing to suspend my disbelief because the emotional payoff is just so insanely good. Sidwell's reaction is what really got me. Jens Sidwell, this hardened, terrifying guy just breaking down, he could not hold back the tears. It was this visceral, guttural reaction to hearing his son's last breaths. And you know, we are so used to seeing these mob bosses as just cold, calculating figures. But in that moment, he wasn't a kingpin. He was just a grieving father. It honestly reminded me of when Sonny lost Morgan, just that pure, unadulterated agony. But then the agony instantly morphs into this cold, terrifying rage. And this is where everything flips upside down. The entire dynamic of the Port Charles underworld just shifted on its axis in the span of like 2 minutes of screen time. The timeline spoilers made it seem like Sidwell was going to retaliate against Sonny. We were all bracing for this massive Sidwell versus Sonny mob war because Cullum's frame job was going to work. Rick Lansing was stepping up to handle Sonny's legal drama, and we all assumed Sonny would be fighting a war on 2 fronts, the cops and Sidwell. But now Sidwell knows the truth. He knows Sonny didn't do it. He knows Cullum is the real monster. And Sidwell swears right then and there in that dark room that he is going to be the one to end Cullum. He is not going to let the cops handle it. He is not going to let Sonny handle it. He is going to tear Cullum apart with his own bare hands. Okay, I know I just said the opposite earlier about Cullum being smart, but hear me out. What if Cullum actually wanted Sidwell to know? No, wait, that makes zero sense. Why would he want to invoke the wrath of Sidwell? That would be suicide. Cullum definitely messed up. He left a loose end, and that loose end is going to strangle him. But the implications of this are just staggering. Sidwell and Sunny. Allies. Reluctant allies, sure, but still. These two guys who were supposed to be at each other's throats are now going to be forced onto the same side because they share a common enemy. Cullum is trying to destroy Sunny's life by framing him for a murder he didn't commit, and Cullum actually did murder Sidwell's son. It is the classic "the enemy of my enemy is my friend" trope, but it feels so earned here because of how raw the emotion is. I keep thinking about how this is going to play out with the rest of the canvas. Like, Jocelyn Jacks is supposed to be having these light bulb moments during the week of March 23rd. Is she going to figure out Cullum's frame job independently? What if Jocelyn is putting the pieces together thinking she needs to save Sunny, but she doesn't even realize that Sidwell already has the ultimate proof, or maybe Jocelyn's clues lead her into Cullum's crosshairs, because if Cullum realizes that Marco sent that message, he is going to go into full panic mode. He is going to be a cornered animal, and that makes him incredibly dangerous to everyone, including Lulu Spencer, who is apparently doing her own investigating despite Nathan West's warnings. And speaking of Nathan, he is worried about Britt Westbourne being trapped by Cullum. If Cullum's plan to frame Sunny falls apart because Sidwell knows the truth, Cullum might accelerate whatever twisted timeline he has Britt on with that prototype. It is all connected. My brain is just firing off in a million directions. But let's go back to Sidwell. I am really fascinated by the psychology of this character right now. He receives this audio. He cries. He vows revenge. But how does he approach Sunny? Does he just walk into Sunny's office and play the tape? Hey, I know we hate each other, but my dying son just cleared your name. Want to team up and kill the guy who did it? It sounds almost comical when I say it like that. But you know the writers are going to make it this tense, heavy scene. Sunny is going to be defensive, Rick Lansing is going to be telling Sunny not to trust Sidwell, and Sidwell is just going to be operating on this frequency of pure, undeniable grief. I mean, not exactly, but kind of. Sunny knows what it is like to lose a child. That is the bridge between them. Sunny will look at Sidwell and recognize that exact same look in his eyes. It is the look of a father who has nothing left to lose. I think that is what is going to solidify their bizarre alliance. Sunny won't just see a rival mob boss, he will see a mirror of his own past tragedies. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe Sunny will try to use it to his advantage. But I feel like the show is pushing for a deeper emotional resonance here. They want us to feel the weight of Marco's death. Even though Marco was involved in some shady stuff, his death is the catalyst for this massive tectonic shift in Port Charles. And what about Ava? The spoilers mentioned Sidwell confiding in Ava in the aftermath of the deadly shocker. Initially, we thought Ava would fear for Sunny's safety because she would assume Sidwell blamed Sunny. But if Sidwell already knows Cullum did it because of the tape, what is he confiding in Ava about? Is he asking for her help to take down Cullum? Ava knows a thing or two about revenge. Maybe Ava becomes the mediator between Sidwell and Sunny. That would be wild. Ava Jerome, peacemaker for the mob. Well, not peacemaker, more like revenge coordinator. It is just so brilliantly messy. The whole thing is just weirdly beautiful in a dark, twisted soap opera way. Cullum thinks he is playing 3D chess, setting up Sunny to take the fall. Probably planting evidence in Alexis's office or somewhere linked to Sunny. He is probably sitting in a dark room himself, swirling a glass of whatever villain's drink, thinking he has won. And he has absolutely no idea that a 10-second audio file sitting on Jen Sidwell's phone has already sealed his fate. I kind of love how technology always ruins the best laid plans on this show. Remember when a random security camera or a dropped flash drive would solve a mystery that took 6 months to build up? This feels like a modern version of that, but much more intimate and devastating. It is not just a piece of evidence, it is Marco's dying breath. It is a haunting, traumatic piece of media that Sidwell is going to carry with him forever. Actually, I wonder if Sidwell will delete the message after he listens to it. Like, is it too painful to keep? Or will he listen to it every single day to fuel his rage until Cullum is dead? I bet he keeps it. He seems like the type who would torture himself with it just to make sure he never loses his focus on the mission. And let's talk about how this affects Sunny's current standing. Sunny has been juggling so much lately. If Cullum's frame job had worked, Sunny would have been tied up in legal battles for months. Rick Lansing would have been working overtime. But now, if Sidwell goes rogue and starts hunting Cullum, does Sunny just sit back and let him? Sunny is not exactly known for sitting on the sidelines. If Cullum tried to frame him, Sunny is going to want a piece of Cullum too. So we might actually get a scenario where Sunny and Sidwell are racing each other to see who gets to kill Cullum first. Or, more likely, they corner him together. Wait, what if Cullum realizes the frame job failed and tries to use Britt or someone else as a hostage? Rocco Falconeri might witness something on Pier 55. If Cullum is cornered by both Sidwell and Sunny, he is going to need leverage. This is where it gets really dangerous for the civilian characters. If the mobsters are having a war, the collateral damage is going to be huge. I am just so stuck on the image of Sidwell crying. We never see these guys cry, unless it is a sweeps month. It just completely humanizes him. It changes him from a generic antagonist into a deeply flawed, grieving protagonist of his own dark story. He is basically the Punisher now. He has a singular focus. Port Charles better brace itself because a grieving mob boss with nothing to lose is the most dangerous thing on the planet. Anyway, I should probably try to sleep. My brain is just moving faster than my typing at this point. I keep thinking about Marco's Thoythop voice. It is going to give me nightmares. But I cannot wait to see how this plays out. The Alliance, the Revenge, Cullum's eventual downfall. It is going to be epic. Assuming the writers don't mess it up, which is always a possibility. But for now, I am fully invested in this Sidwell revenge tour. It is going to be a bloodbath. And honestly, Cullum absolutely deserves whatever is coming to him. Okay, I'm done. I think, I'm going to bed.